Welcome to the High Bar, your weekly watering hole for lighthearted conversation with people who care about culture that matters. I'm Warren Etheridge, your host and barkeep. I promise never to cut anyone off while encouraging all to think responsibly. Join me and my guest, Jonathan Evison, award-winning writer of All About Lulu and the upcoming West of Here, as we raise a toast and raise the bar for literary fiction. Today we're going to raise the bar for literary fiction, or at least I believe we are, with our first returning champion here on the High Bar, the fabulous winner of the Washington State Book Award for All About Lulu, and the author of 2011's bestseller, West of Here, Jonathan Evison. Welcome, sir. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you, buddy. Pleasure to be your first returning guest here on the High Bar.
All right, well, we can
relish the opportunity to repeat myself, as my wife, best friend, and anyone who's met me for more than 10 minutes will tell you.
Last time we talked about the great American novel.
Mm-hmm. And here it is.
I'm right there. Well, thank you for coming back. You said you'd bring it back.
Okay. All right,
nice.
Perfect.
But I want to talk to you about something that peeves me.
Okay.
Something that upsets me.
Okay.
It's like you go into a place like Barnes & Noble, and you go in and there's a fiction section and a novels and literature section. Mm-hmm. What could be more helpful in terms of making people seem like elitist snobs than that? Why can't all the fiction live together in one little happy place?
It's a good question. I don't know. Sorting out demand, I guess. I met a writer in Minneapolis or Denver last week. I don't remember where, but she wrote a neo-Gothic lesbian Western, and so
Is there a
I
section?
think there's a section. Well, at this point, I think that I don't know. I think genres at this point are sort of, in some ways, obsolete. You know what I mean? So many literary writers have been genre bending, and your Jonathan Lathams, your Michael Chabons, right. People have been experimenting with genre in a literary format. I think that there might be a distinction, say, between and this is going to be a generalization between, let's call it, commercial fiction and literary fiction.
Right, but why do we need that? Can't we just figure that out by reading it? You say that genre is dead, but like bookstores, like music stores, become more and more subdivided.
And I'm thinking that they're actually going to become less and less subdivided. I feel like we're moving that way. Mm-hmm. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of, I probably said this before somewhere too.
I hope so.
But maybe not, because I don't know what I'm going to say. A lot of literary novelists, like, I think I brought up Dennis Lehane last time. Mm-hmm. I mean, writers who maybe 10 years ago would have been considered, genre writers are now being considered more like literary writers. I think genre is, I draw a distinction maybe between commercial and literary. Commercial being anything that sells, and literary being anything that doesn't sell. I don't know.
Right, but why can't we divide it between like good writing and crap?
I think that that's kind of what they're trying to do with commercial and. I mean, look. Let's say we. I mean, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. There's going to be literary fiction. Look at a book like Middlesex or Cavalier and Clay, books that did immensely well.
Right.
Or The Corrections or Freedom. But I mean, I think generally speaking, a lot of commercial fiction maybe seeks to simplify the world in its narratives, meaning relies a little more heavily on coincidences, distinguishes more black and white between good and evil, whereas literary fiction tends to complicate the world and explore the nuances of getting from point A to point B. I don't know.
But why do we need that distinction? I mean, you yourself, last time
I didn't say we made the distinction.
Oh, well, last time I saw you...
There's one distinction, my book and everybody else's. That's...
No, you made it clear when we were having lunch. You said that you really wanted to be in that literary fiction category, and you were looking down your nose at the other people.
Oh, wait a minute. You're just being a provocateur here. I'm not dumb enough to look down my nose at anybody. Are you kidding me? No, I never said that. Did not say that. Redacted.
Said that.
Redacted. No, I don't have any choice. Look at my sales numbers.
For people who read mainstream fiction, redacted means the little black bar is over things.
No, dude, don't. I'm not a literary snob. I mean, I never forget my reader. I'm about, if anything, I think a literary novelist might think of me as more commercial than them because I never forget about the reader. I'm not a navel gazer. I don't think about entertaining myself. I never forget the reader because all I'm trying to do as a novelist is give the reader that feeling I get as a reader. You know, I mean, I can create effects all day long till I'm blue in the face, but it's still going to be a collaboration at the end of the day. They have to work, so I have to think like a reader. So no, I mean, I don't, I think I'm stuck. I will always be probably considered literary fiction because my books won't sell enough to be commercial.
That's right.
So
that's why you say reader singular rather than readers.
Reader. Yeah. Well, you haven't even read it yet, so yeah, it's still singular.
It hasn't come out yet. You just gave it to me now.
Yeah.
I always do my
we
research,
had a few
but I need more than 30 seconds.
To drink 2 of those.
Oh, for God's sake!
You could have read the blurbs at least.
I did.
Well, I'll do it now.
See.
Do a couple blurbs.
All right, let's get one out of the way here. From David Liss, author of The Whiskey Rebels. Intelligent, insightful, poignant, funny, endlessly entertaining, even though the book ends at some point, and perpetually thought-provoking. West of here proves that Jonathan Evison is a major new voice in American fiction.
Oh, God. What was that last part? No,
let's see. Take out the probably. It makes me sound wishy-washy. No, I mean, but you put some stock in that, don't you? I mean, if you don't have book sales, you have to put some stock in being literary fiction, don't you?
I mean, I don't know. I just put stocks in writing books and trying to connect to readers. If it'll help your cause, yeah.
Right.
I'm a literary snob, and I never want to have a book with an embossed cover. How's that? Better?
That's
How about this? I get something even better.
You got something better? There you go. See, I like that.
Now I'm qualified.
Now that's it.
To talk about literary fiction.
But do you feel any distinction between you and fellow writers, or do you feel like you're all just one part of one big fraternity?
I mean, I probably am more likely to jibe with writers that are writing about themes and subjects and in a way that I am more than, I don't really write thrillers. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's all a big brotherhood. Look, just trying to make your living writing books is enough to make it, I feel a kinship with any writer because I know the reality of it. It's tough out there in a world where less and less people are reading. But, I mean, of course, I have more of a kinship with the writers who I, just personally jibe with. But that's me as a reader, not me as a writer, I'm not helping you here, am I? You really want me to...
I recently had Guillermo del Toro as a guest, and he is writing this trilogy of vampire books with Chuck Hogan as his co-author, right? And so that stuff, it's vampire stuff. It should be in the horror or whatever section, but that's in the novels and literature section. So does that just become about a name thing?
I forget who wrote it.
Chuck Hogan and Guillermo del Toro.
Chuck Hogan, the wrestler? That's Hulk.
Hulk Hogan.
Chuck Hogan, and who's the other one? Guillermo, he's an actor, right?
So you need to get out more. You're in that little camper too much.
I'm in the motorhome a little bit.
But is it possible? I'll give you an easier one. Is it possible that people who are quote unquote
How about a multiple choice? Just give me a multiple choice, could you? It's early.
Mainstream fiction. There are people writing mainstream fiction who are doing some decent stuff, aren't there?
Okay, who? I mean, not that I don't agree, but
I mean, the common argument is Stephen King writing something worthwhile in mainstream fiction?
Stephen King has been a huge influence on a lot of my favorite writers. Now, I was never a big Stephen King reader. I read the one book I really read and remember connecting with was a book called Thinner, which was brilliantly published under the pseudonym Richard Bachman because they didn't, his publisher was like, no, just one a year, dude. And so he published this book called Thinner and under the title Richard Bachman, and it even said photo by Sylvia Bachman, just some guy. Right. I thought that was brilliant. And that novel...
Thinner is the Elton Brown story, I believe. That's a reference that you don't get. Okay. We'll move on.
I feel like, am I on the Dennis Miller show? All these references.
Okay, that's all right. Go ahead.
But I know I have a new respect for Stephen King just knowing that writers like Dan Shawn and Stuart Onan are. I mean, that's what they cut their teeth on. Right. And I think it's I think that the navel gazers of the literary world could learn a lot from the Stephen Kings of the world. I mean, I think great writing is just great writing. My editor at Algonquin, Chuck Adams, who's been in the business for 41 years, he's edited everybody from like Jackie Collins type writers to Joseph Heller, and he's just a story guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't really, he personally doesn't make, I mean, he realizes some people maybe string words together more beautifully than others, but over here, there's some people that tell stories better than others. I think in the middle is where a book needs to be to captivate me. I mean, all the breakout literary novels that I talked about that crossed over and sold, millions of copies, most of those books something happens in them, and you know what I mean. There's a narrative that is propelled forward, and you know, I mean, I like people like Jack London. I mean, that guy could tell a story. Sometimes the language is a little overwrought and a little corny, but like the guy writes a story about some guy lighting a fire, and it's just the most riveting thing in the world because the stakes are so high, and he keeps it moving. I think, you know.
Yes.
I think we probably, yeah. Here.
Well, you don't see a lot.
Since we taught, you know, since modernism, I mean, I just think like, you know, I think I said this last time, and if you have me back again, I'll say it again if you like.
Excellent.
I just think, you know, there's the focus in literature, and to a large part, has gone toward sentence writing and meditations, and you know, I hear this word rant a lot, and like for me in my stories, that's not what my stories are about. I mean, I want to be invisible. I'm not into the authorial. I want to be the narrator, but I want to disappear. I just want to tell a story, and I want it to be about the reader. I want the reader to get inside those characters. I want to offer the reader an authentic emotional experience, and I can't do that if I'm going, beep, look at me, you know, hey, look at this, you know, clever device I'm using here, or I'm going to stop the narrative in its tracks and give you my political agenda. And in some of my very favorite novelists have fallen into this, you know, pit over the years. John Steinbeck. I mean, I love The Grapes of Wrath. I love East of Eden. I love To a God Unknown. But there are a few books in there, like In Dubious Battle or The Moon is Down, which is basically just like a, you know, America rah rah rah. I mean, it's almost propaganda. I mean, it becomes a political polemic at some point. So for me, I don't know, what am I doing?
I don't know.
Spiraling.
I like that you said that Steinbeck
I feel like
sucks,
Ornette Coleman right now. I'm just honk, honk, honk. You know.
Well, you don't see a lot of literary fiction on the bestseller list. That is uncommon.
No.
But I wonder how much of this has to do with what we're being brought up reading. You know, when I went to a very strict neo-Nazi grade school where we started reading classics at an early age. I mean, I was brought up on quote unquote literary fiction.
So what? You were reading The Good Earth and To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
See, I think schools are still so broke that everybody's still reading the same stuff. This does not bode well for literature either. Not that those books aren't timeless and amazing, but you know, I mean, how is literature supposed to move forward and capture any kind of part of the mainstream consciousness when everyone's still cutting their teeth on The Tale of Two Cities?
Right.
And I don't think that they should stop that, but there's been some great novels written, you know,
so what
since
should
the
kids
18th
be taught?
and 19th century.
Can we get rid of Thomas
Well,
Hardy and
West
move
of
on to
Here is
something
a
else?
great place to start.
That's right.
Maybe this book.
By Jared Middleton?
Yes, I think that's another good one. You know,
Yeah.
might need a tutor. That's pretty. See, this is thick stuff.
It's
Brilliantly
small, but
written.
it's dense.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me.
It's a short, light metaphysical novel.
Is that a blurb on the back? No. No.